WeChat has dominated the Chinese market, but we believe they can do so much more. Good morning from Team Malaysia. I, Alma, alongside my teammates Chihui, Matthew, and David, are here today to help strategize the leap that WeChat should take in order to expand their mark and impact across China. Next slide. Founded by Alan Zhang, WeChat, a multi-functionality app, was developed with the help of Tencent and it was officially launched in January 2011. Starting off with a simple instant messaging app at the time, WeChat has rapidly grown through the years and now have more than 1.2 billion users across the world, with the majority of its users situated in China. Its operations have also expanded to cater to the demands of the industry by including operation segments such as voice messaging, social media, and mobile payment functions. WeChat's parent company, Tencent, also prioritized becoming a conscientious and responsible internet company, thus resulting in a boost of WeChat's corporate ESG efforts through Tech for Good to solve the pain points of Chinese SMEs in hopes of achieving technological equality. From here, we've identified that one of WeChat's biggest unique selling point is their variety of product offerings coupled with their strong ESG efforts. Moving on, let's delve deeper into WeChat's current standing. Through further analysis, we've seen that WeChat's USP is derived from their strengths in the market. This does not only include their diversified offerings and ESG implementation through empowering SMEs with WeChat Pay, but also their ease of accessibility and extremely large distribution network in China. Despite this, we recognize several internal and external problems, such as lack of data privacy, which increases chances of security fraud, government legislation that may affect operations, and a lack of a niche area that can be exploited by external competitors. Hence, we see that there are several opportunities that can be leveraged on, such as firstly, the creation of a larger customer base by diving into a more niche expertise. Secondly, further capitalization of SMEs by creating a more refined and robust WeChat Pay ecosystem that seeks to economically empower our local businesses. And thirdly, anchoring on the rapid online and e-commerce growth in China. We've looked into the Chinese market and identified that it has the highest number of internet users, mobile payments penetration, and retail e-commerce GMV in comparison to other countries worldwide. From here, we can conclude that China is the global leader for cashless and e-commerce transactions, suggesting an alignment of opportunities for WeChat Pay's future strategies. Now let's look at how SMEs come into play. Within China itself, almost 100% of its companies are SMEs, contributing to more than 50% in tax revenue and approximately 60% of China's total GDP. We also see that China's e-commerce retail sales is growing at almost 15% year on year, with a very high online shopping penetration rate standing at 80%. Hence, it's not surprising that about 49 billion yuan has been generated through e-commerce sales by SMEs in 2020, proving how SMEs have potential in contributing significantly to China's e-commerce growth and economy. Despite this, SMEs are still finding it hard to compete in the hyper-connected world. They face three main challenges, namely the lack of financial resources, the lack of technical know-how that's necessary to thrive in the digital world, and minimal product differentiation in their offerings, making it difficult for them to compete with bigger players. These challenges were further exacerbated by the pandemic, as the failure rate of Chinese SMEs was 18.5% during the start of COVID-19, a 3-time increase compared to 2019. This is because SMEs were unable to sustain the operations due to cash flow deficits and the lack of IT knowledge to adapt. Big players within the online industry was able to not only adapt, but flourish during the pandemic. Being the leading mobile payment platform, WeChat Pay continues to grow with a current standing of 23,000 monthly service providers, more than 10 million registered merchants, and over 1,800 banks and payment institutions on board. Therefore, we see a huge opportunity for WeChat to come in by leveraging on WeChat Pay to capture the underserved SME market in China. Although we do recognize WeChat's capabilities to empower SMEs, WeChat within the fintech sector currently accounts for only about 1/3 of Tencent's total revenue, despite having high cost of revenue. From here, we believe that there is an extended opportunity for WeChat to increase their monetization methods in order to improve their profitability.
Moving forward, WeChat's strategy must address these three questions. First, how to drive cashless payments amongst SMEs, how to monetize this business, and third, how to use technology for good and drive social impact. Our strategy here is twofold: capacity building and enabling growth. First, we propose launching WeChat Nerve, a capacity building center that equips SMEs with the necessary tools for integrating cashless payments and utilizing business management software. Second, we recommend launching WeChat Pay Insights, which translates data collected into actionable recommendations. This is a win-win strategy for both parties, allowing WeChat Pay to earn additional revenue beyond just commission takeaways, while empowering SMEs to utilize data and expand their business. Turning first to WeChat Nerve. Our research shows that going online is critical for SME survival, with 80% of the product discovery happening online. And SMEs in China have in fact shown a great potential in adapting to the new norm, with 3 times more of such SMEs going online in 2020. But the problem is, most SMEs that are actually going online are dominated in first and second tier cities, and this leads to an unequal distribution of usage among SMEs. And this phenomenon is contributed by 3 things. First, the lack of digital skills. Second, lack of support culminating the skills. And finally, SMEs' reluctance to foot the upfront cost for such innovation to happen. Therefore, we propose launching WeChat Nerve that focuses on equipping SMEs with these necessary skill sets. So how will this work? First, we're going to establish a customer relation support with customers. Knowing that SMEs find it hard to acquire these digital skills, we propose offerings, a helpline that reach out to SMEs both online and offline. The online platform is a 24/7 live agent chat targeting SMEs that require assistance within first and second tier cities, whereas the WeChat Pay consultants deployed off ground in third and fourth cities for SMEs that need assistance. Second, we recommend educating SMEs on ways to integrate WeChat Pay more seamlessly into their existing systems, while urging these SMEs to adopt business management software launched by WeChat Pay, as will be illustrated by my teammate. And third, we suggest launching exclusive partnerships with selected high-performance SMEs, under which WeChat can connect these SMEs with new technology that would otherwise which they would have no access to, such as soft serve ice creams and autonomous serving robots. Moreover, these selected SMEs will then carry exclusive products from Jingdong, Tencent's e-commerce arm. As for monetizing the business, in the first stage, WeChat will be footing the upfront cost for setting up call centers and training agents. These stems from the finding that China SMEs are actually quite reluctant to pay, even as low as for like just 6 RMB for a point of sale system. Second, WeChat Pay will generate additional revenue from business management softwares or value-added services that are used by SMEs. Third, from exclusive partnerships, WeChat can take a commission from goods sold for the new products introduced within this segment. In essence, through WeChat Nerve, SMEs will receive technological operation integrating systems and streamlining operations. As for WeChat, WeChat Pay will be able then to extend their foothold outside of cities, increase visibility. This further allows WeChat to also attain additional revenue stream beyond commission fees for each transaction.
Now, I'll be moving on to our second strategy. But before this, it's crucial to note that for small medium enterprises, the adoption of WeChat Pay isn't just about technical knowledge and capacity, it's about the numbers as well. And based on our findings, through WeChat Pay, SMEs stand to benefit greatly from WeChat's large customer base, the convenience offered to customers, and increased business visibility and outreach. However, we note that nearly 50% of silent merchants actually don't know how to capitalize on opportunities that WeChat Pay provides. And this is especially important as there is an upcoming 70 billion renminbi opportunity awaiting when cross-platform interconnectivity is launched in China. But most importantly, in excess of 80% of SMEs have varied non-financial needs, such as data analysis, marketing assistance, or even bookkeeping. And the key takeaways is that SMEs mainly lack capacity to handle data that could actually be really beneficial. Secondly, they value convenience, but not at the expense of cost. And thirdly, most SMEs are actually open to advisory services. Hence, for our second strategy, we recommend launching WeChat Pay Insights. Now, WeChat Pay Insights will be a platform as a service package that is customizable and is actually just a simple add-on to the existing WeChat Pay application. And how it works is that it assists SMEs by simplifying business knowledge and optimizing operations. Furthermore, it will leverage on Tencent's ecosystem for holistic services. Now, WeChat Pay Insights will actually be split into 3 different packages that will cater to different segments of SMEs and for different purposes. Now, our biggest and most important insight, firstly, will be our personal insights. Here, we'll be providing basic strategic and operational advice based on transactional data from SME merchants, and such advice will be distilled and condensed into easy-to-understand information packets for SMEs to act upon, and this package will be offered free of charge to garner buy-ins from SMEs. Secondly, our second package will be the Assistant Insights package, and this will be there to help out highly active SMEs. And this package will provide specialized services such as bookkeeping for transactions that are done through WeChat Pay. This will result in less time being spent by SME owners, resulting in an increase in efficiency. And we envision this package to be available to SMEs for free for those who actually reach a certain threshold for a number of transactions that are done on WeChat Pay to incentivize their usage. And the third package is for larger and ambitious SMEs, which is our Diamond Insights, where we'll be combining data insights from all of Tencent's ecosystem, from entertainment to shopping, to provide certain suggestions such as cross-platform marketing to SMEs, and this package will be offered fee-based. Through WeChat Pay Insights, we will be able to grow SMEs of different sizes who have different objectives sustainably, and we do this in a few ways. By adopting a bottoms-up approach to WeChat Pay Insights, this allows SMEs to make quicker and more smart decisions. Secondly, we enhance WeChat Pay's engagements between merchants and customers. And third, by offering different packages, we ensure that there is always an effective solution for each type of SME. And lastly, this will serve as an added revenue stream not only for SME, but for WeChat Pay as well. So the question is, how do we tie then our 2 strategies, WeChat Nerve and WeChat Pay Insights, together? And right from the beginning, it's important to drive SME adoption, which is greatly hindered by a lack of capacity and desire. And to solve this, we have WeChat Nerve, which will provide tailored education and support team consultants to SMEs that need it the most. Moving on, once we have secured adoption of SMEs for WeChat Pay, we will then look to convince SMEs to take up value-added services through WeChat. And this can be existing services such as loans and insurances, or new services through WeChat Pay Insights. And next, to allow SMEs to grow sustainably and capitalize on future opportunities, we will leverage on WeChat Pay Insights to convert the abundance of data online to then turn that into knowledge and actionable insights for SMEs, thus driving growth. And in the future, with better prepared SMEs, we may be able to explore further collaborations and insights with brands, for example. In terms of the timeline of implementation of our initiatives, we foresee being able to roll out both our initiatives within a year. And for WeChat Pay Nerve, we'll start with identifying SME issues and setting up service centers in select locations, such as 3rd, 4th, and even 5th-tier cities. Then we'll start our education and assistance hubs, followed by continuous process improvements. For WeChat Pay Insights, after developing our capabilities, we'll have a soft launch to determine the reception of such packages amongst SMEs, and after reviews and process improvements, we'll proceed with a full launch and marketing campaign.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 risks which may adversely affect our timeline and 3 proposed strategies for harm minimization. Firstly, data privacy is our largest risk. The extent of data collection is vast in our framework, and as such, our proposed solution is an offering of cyber liability insurance and encryption. Next, external competition from new market entrants and existing conglomerates such as Alibaba put Insights and Nerve at risk of a price war. However, our offering differentiates itself and positions us uniquely to capture market share through services based on consumers at the forefront of our decision-making calculus. And as such, we will continuously ensure regulatory risks are mitigated through consistent engagement sessions with regulators in keeping us up to speed. Ladies and gentlemen, my financial overview will be segmented into 3 parts: a bottom-up approach of revenue and expenditure drivers, a few key line items, and our project evaluation as a whole. WeChat Insights and Nerve stand to net 33 billion renminbi, with a cost of capital at 5.71%. We project Insights for a revenue contribution of 12% and Nerve of 8% for total revenues of 112 million renminbi. For variable expenditures, we forecast a 7% outlay for establishing 10 Nerve touchpoints across 5 Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities in China, while the fixed expenditures of 5% goes to continuous R&D initiatives, utilities and wages for a total of 77 million renminbi and a net profit of 33 million in our very first year. We plan to finance these initiatives through a 70-30 debt to equity mix. From the line items below, this proposed mix is attributed to the interest tax shielding effect, where the opportunity cost of paying less in taxes means that WeChat has more existing free cash flows to reinvest in the underserved SME market through Nerve and Insights. And we believe that this is a feasible solution for WeChat, as its parent company, Tencent, has a low gearing ratio of 0.31, a levered beta of 0.46 for the Hang Seng Index, as its activities are highly diversified. And China's high corporate tax rate of 25% means that with Tencent has already a strong foothold in the gaming industry. However, from an incremental free cash flow standpoint, our Nerve and Insight initiatives will generate approximately 50 million renminbi in yearly incremental free cash flows by 2027. We forecast an initial lag in adoption in Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities in 2023, but very quickly, free cash flows will turn around at a CAGR of 11% as adoption grows. From a project perspective, Nerve and Insights is expected to create a net present value of 170 million renminbi, discounted at a WACC of 5.71% and 46% internal rate of return. Analyzing the initial investment outlay, there is a spend of 77 million in CapEx for establishing these 10 and aforementioned Nerve touchpoints required for Insights and Nerve to be operational, utilities, as well as payroll. In 2023, we are prudent in assuming a late-stage adoption period for Insights and Nerve before reaching our payoff period in 2024. From 2025 onwards, we expect and project a positive free cash flows of about 50 million renminbi per year up to 2027.
Ladies and gentlemen, our strategy is focused on two main pillars: capacity building through WeChat Nerve and enabling growth by leveraging on WeChat Insights. These strategies do not only increase revenue for WeChat and SMEs, but also empower our SMEs to drive for sustainable growth and enhance social impact, aligning with WeChat's dream to continue pioneering the industry while doing good. Hence, Team UM believes that with WeChat Pay, we can, in fact, use tech for good. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. It's now time for the Q&A session.
I guess I'll go first then. So first of all, well done everyone. A really good presentation. Clear there's some artists amongst us here. Love the little diagrams there. Just the question I have is, for WeChat Pay Insights, how are you going to really kind of enable that for those people that are not very literate on technology? And you know, maybe where the infrastructure is not so good, like, you know, the kind of more rural areas. Could you just kind of clarify that, please?
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for the question. I think that's a very important question. I think that's actually a very important thing that our team actually considered. So if we look at our roadmap in that sense, so the first thing that we did was that in order to drive SME adoption, because you need the SMEs to be able to use the app before they'll be able to benefit from WeChat Pay Insights. So that's where we will actually be launching our support team consultants with WeChat Nerve. So WeChat Nerve, what will primarily be done is that to focus on building the capacity of SMEs, especially those who are in 4th and 5th tier cities who are a little bit more rural, for them to be able to know exactly what it is that they would need to be able to do and how to use the app so that they'll be able to benefit from WeChat Pay Insights. So it's actually like a stage. So the first stage would really be to focus on building the capacity. And after building their capacity, then only will we then move on to WeChat Pay Insights, where they'll be able to maximize the opportunities given to them.
Okay, thank you. And around the site on the risks. So if you just go to the risks slide, please, this one. So data privacy. I mean, it mentions there that you're going to have cyber liability insurance and encryption. Can you just explain that a little bit more, please, as to how that would work?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I can take that as well. So I think when it came to looking at like data privacy in a certain extent, so for most SMEs, you won't have the financial resources, for example, to take up insurance. and especially cyber liability insurance, which is actually a very niche area of insurance specifically. So one of the ways that we wanted to sort of like give assurance to SMEs to come on board, to actually say that it's safe for them to do business with us. So what happens is that we, as a platform, WeChat, we would recommend them taking up cyber liability insurance and providing some form of coverage for SMEs, so that SMEs will then have confidence to conduct transactions with us. And actually, in the market, cyber liability insurance it's already existing in the market. It's not something that businesses regularly take up, but it is available there for WeChat to take up potentially.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question in terms of your payback period and the WACC analysis. So you're basically just assuming that if you implement the insights as well as the NERF, this is the payback and WACC that you will get, right? But has any analysis been done on kind of the ancillary effects of the other aspects of WeChat's revenue mix?
Thank you. That's a very good question. And besides the effect of the payback period and, for example, the CAGR and such, we've also actually done a comparable companies valuation between basically Tencent's biggest competitor, which is going to be Alibaba. And as such, we've actually come up with a valuation metric whereby for example, the company is set to win basically because, for example, the EV to EBITDA ratio of Tencent as relative to Alibaba is only 1.36 to 2.21. So it is a clear win here, where basically WeChat is well positioned for creating value in terms of this new offering of insights and NERF. Besides that, also, we believe that the PEG ratio for Tencent versus Alibaba of 1.4 to 3.34, meaning that Tencent is actually potentially undervalued. And we believe that as a firm, there's huge value here to be created. And we believe that the 70-30 debt equity mix, especially with raising additional capital, will be no issue for WeChat, as investors have huge confidence in this company. It's cheap and it's undervalued as of the stock price today, right? And besides that as well, in terms of the profitability ratios of Tencent relative to Alibaba, it's a clear win, right? For example, the ROA and ROE of Tencent is much higher than Alibaba at 4.77 to 3.50 and 24% to 4% essentially, as well as the gearing ratios, right? For example, Tencent to Alibaba, Tencent's leverage, financial leverage is only 20% relative to Alibaba's 80%. So therefore, we can see here that Tencent is actually in very good position to actually onboard these new initiatives. With basically cost of borrowing is going to be cheap for them relative to their largest competitor. And we believe that through this valuation, this analysis, it adds value actually to the overall sort of project perspective, in addition to the payback period, NPV, IRR, and CAGR.
Okay, this is very good in terms of the additional info that you've given me. But what I'm specifically asking is whether the solutions that you're implementing for NERF and insights to the SME sector in China, what are the ancillary opportunities that WeChat Pay can ride on, potentially, for example, their personal, because at the end of the day, the SMEs, what's behind the SMEs are the individual business entrepreneurs that make the money. So what I'm asking is whether there has been any analysis done on the impact to WeChat's revenue mix as a result of these business entrepreneurs getting richer.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. And so actually there has been quite some research done on this, right? And to answer your question, actually the initial impact on WeChat's revenue mix, given that SMEs now potentially are going to get richer, is that initially at year zero, basically we forecast that there is going to be an initial investment outlay for WeChat to provide these services, right, for insight and NERF. However, at the same time, when the essential driver here is that when SMEs win, WeChat win as well, right? And so we believe that as basically SMEs get richer and they become more profitable, we believe that basically there's a reverberance effect whereby WeChat also stands to gain due to essentially the commissions taken from NERF as well as from insights from charging, for example, the diamond tier, right? And so that's actually one segment where we believe that it is actually a two-way sort of profitability street where SMEs get richer, basically WeChat gets richer as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A quick question here. So how can you share some details on how we arrive at the 170 million benefit here?
Sure, thank you very much. Perhaps you could go one slide before this to the revenue and costs of scale. Yeah, before that, one more. Thank you. Thank you, cool. Okay, so essentially there is, we sort of forecast it as a percentage of revenue returns. And so here for revenues, we've actually projected 12% for WeChat Insights and 8% for WeChat Nerve, right? And for cost, it's going to be, variable cost is 7% of revenues and fixed is basically 5% of revenues. And essentially the figures for this is actually going to be that we essentially forecast this to be at a total of essentially, hold on, yeah, it's going to be actually 33 billion renminbi let me just, okay, cool. So actually for WeChat Insights Nerve, they're going to net 33 billion renminbi, the cost of capital of 5.71%. At the same time, we project Insights for revenue contribution of about 12% and 8% for Nerve. And these total revenues for Insights and Nerve are going to be totaled up to 112 million renminbi. For variable expenditures, as well as fixed, is going to total up to about 77 million renminbi. And then when we net that out, we're going to get a net profit of 33 million in year zero, basically. And with a growth rate of a cost 11% CAGR year on year, then we arrive at the final valuation for net present value.
I have one more question. Can you go back to the risks? So on the regulatory, okay, so I think the question was asked earlier about data privacy, external competition, I think we are all aware of. I think number 3, I hope that someone else can answer these questions besides Devin. Regulatory changes in terms of what you see the current state of affairs with the China tech sector, and as well as, how can the Nerve and the Insights project team navigate through the regulatory changes that's happening in China right now?
Thank you for that question. Maybe I'll take that. So we understand that there has been some sort of a visibility or cram down in the tech sector in China. And what we propose to moving forward is that one of the reasons why this happened is because there are lots of concerns over competition law, number 1, and number 2, scrutiny on terms of data privacy. So how we propose to navigate this change is that because your customer base in China, there's no running away from that. So how WeChat should manage this risk is through close collaboration with regulators, number 1, and how they can go forward in doing this is in complying with the new rules and regulations that are actually proposed by the government.
Maybe just to add on a little bit from Chihu's point of view, definitely yes, consistent engagement with governments in terms of how we can further adapt into this. But I would say rather how we can further adapt in regulatory changes is definitely leveraging on how other countries are also responding to their regulatory changes. For example, benchmarking, as we believe WeChat not only do, as much as we do have a lot of presence in China, there are also presence throughout different countries as well. So we believe that, through determining and examining regulatory changes in other countries as well, we can hopefully also examine and see specific trends that could happen in China as well, and hence hopefully leverage on this kind of data to adapt better in the future.
So are you intending to use the existing regulatory teams that your parent company already has, or are you planning to set up a separate kind of regulatory function within Nerve and Insights?
I think we can leverage on the existing teams within Tencent, because actually Tencent has a very comprehensive regulatory team already, giving its diverse team of business, especially when it comes to its other portfolios and investment. So I think that's a very good starting point to expand, but we acknowledge the fact that because we are entering new verticals for this business, there may be additional associated costs. And in areas where we do not have the expertise, we will onboard new talent to help us meet those requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you. We still have time for 1 or 2 questions. Judges, do you have any more questions?
Oh, with the recent, I'm just thinking again out loud, with the recent kind of correction of the share prices of Tencent, how do you, again, this is not specific to this project again, but how do you see, what do you think the parent company can do to boost investor confidence on this stock?
I'll take that question. Thank you very much. And what I think that Tencent can actually do to boost investor confidence is to basically package insights and nerve in such a way whereby they are able to actually show the returns, right, and to illustrate it in terms of net present value, IRR, as well as the 11% CAGR year on year, how this is profitable and how it's actually going to return on their investment. As I mentioned earlier in the comparable companies analysis, the effective return on equity for Tencent as an entire firm is about 24%, which is very good, right? And so we believe that adding on this project onto Tencent's project list will actually allow for them to increase their ROE and hence boost investor confidence further. And it will actually be reflected in a better, essentially, PEG ratio, right, NSOS-PE ratio. And so that's why we think that through means of actually illustrating as well as visualizing the data and to show to investors how this is actually going to add on in terms of providing value to them, then we believe that this is a proper good way to show investors that, that we can actually provide value to them and hence increase the share price.
Also, maybe just to add on, I think beyond just the financial perspective, as my friend David has shared, right? I think by launching Nerve and Insights, it's very SME focused. It's very social in that sense because it helps SMEs grow in that sense. So I think actually from a non-financial perspective, if Tencent, for example, was to leverage more, provide publicity, show support, as well as to reaffirm their commitment to driving social good, that would also be a great way to also get investor confidence in their shares. Yeah. So I think that's all.
Okay, thank you all. The judges will now stay in the room to deliberate. Dear team, we will place you in the waiting room and bring you back in for the feedback session in a few minutes.